Driver. It's the wheels of all wheels. Is the pick of Shabbos. The pinnacle of Shabbos comes to that time, so you don't want it to be wasted on eating and drinking. Yeah. The people are occupied with pass me the salt, melt me this, let's eat. And instead they sing Hasidic melodies and they say Hasidic discourse. So this is probably the ultimate way to usher the Shabbos out. And to spend the last moments of Shabbos, the highest moments of Shabbos, to spend them on Torah. Yeah.
Baruch Hashem.
You do that to yeshivot.
Yeah, they do it in all Chabad communities. They do it that way.
Also, yeah.
Over here we also do it. But
I think it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful moment.
In general, Shabbat is a very precious time, and people should take advantage of the time of Shabbat, not to waste it on.
Don't waste it. Thinking of going to the movies.
Go to the movies.
Go to the movies.
Yeah, then people you just want Saturday night.
They don't know.
So page 114. Oh, sorry, no,
Amen.
In today's lesson, every small conquest of one's evil impulse, even in permissible areas, is significant. With each triumph, one generates tremendous holiness. Every little victory is tremendous holiness that comes to the world. So we should never underestimate the
conquest,
even of the smallest one. The central point of the above discussion was that through the occurrence of evil thoughts in one's mind, and through one's battle against them, the Sitra Achra is subdued, causing great pleasure above. Furthermore, not only by fighting his evil thoughts does one subdue the Sitra Achra, but even in matters that are fully permissible. Someone is sacrificing one's impulse even if only for a short while, meaning he delayed his impulse. And his intention is not to, because he's waiting for somebody. His intention is subduing the Sitra Achra in the left part of his heart. That's his intention. That he has a desire for something and it says, pushing you off. For example, if one wants to eat right now, but he delays his meal for an hour or less, and that time he learns Torah. Not that he's busy working, a workaholic, and therefore he's not eating. He wants to eat. He has the food in front of him, but he says, "I'm going to learn Torah a little bit, and then I will eat." And during that time, he studies Torah. If he occupies himself with other physical matters because he wants to go to the gym or other things, and that's why he pushes off his meal, he does not subdue the Sitra Achra by postponing his meal. Since he is in any case indulging his animal soul. But if he studies Torah during that time, then even when the delay of his meal does not gain him any time for Torah study, for he would have studied Torah regardless, as will soon be stated, and despite the fact that he eventually does eat, yet he subdues the Sitra Achra by the mere effort of postponing his meal, and thereby he brings about the divine pleasure caused by every subjugation of the Sitra Achra. The Gemara in Tractate Shabbos tells us, Shor Revis Machal Kol Odom, Shor Shish Machal Talmidei Chachamim. Gemara says the 4th hour of the day is when all men eat, but the 6th hour is mealtime for scholars. The Talmidei Chachamim say the 6th hour of the day. Because they would go hungry for 2 hours with this intention, to subdue the Sitra Achra, subdue the impulse, the instinctiveness, the natural inclination.
Can I say?
1 second. It says, although even after the meal, they would study all day. So it really didn't make a difference because they would have to spend that time on eating anyway. So let's say it took them to eat 20 minutes. So what difference does it make if you eat at 9 or 10 or 11? You still eat. The mere fact that their body wanted to eat and push it off, that was to train the body that we are in control. There's not the impulses to the side. And push it off, I will eat when I decide is the time to eat,
That's
not when the body tells me to eat.
It's like you train yourself to give tzedakah all the time.
Yeah.
You do the same
Well,
thing.
again, it's your nature.
You train
Yeah.
your brain to resist sitra achra.
Right?
Which is amazing.
Exactly.
If
Reinforce,
you have a meal and you wait like that, it's gonna go cold.
So it's even better. There was one guy I grew up. He used to say, "Who decided that you have to put the butter on the bread? Maybe I should eat the butter alone and then the bread."
נכון?
So somebody decided that it's better to eat the bread. It's just because the world decided the butter needs to be on the bread, and then I'll eat the butter, and then I'll eat the bread. If that's what the custom is, just to give an idea, like how people were like removed from the world of physical things. The world decided that the butter has to be spread over the bread.
I do that all the time. I
I'll
say,
eat the
who said it's
butter.
supposed to be like this? They always think like a certain way.
It's dry.
Like, you can have dessert first.
said
You
it
know,
has
what
to
are you
be-
worried about? Have the fruit first.
Who
And then
said
what
it
do I
has
have
to
to be?
be only delicious? You only have to eat it.
Rabbi, they even equate bread and butter to parnasa.
No.
Are you earning your bread and butter?
Yeah.
Meaning, are you earning your parnasa?
Yeah.
No, but
Exactly.
what if it deals with like for me, if I cook a meal, for example, you know what I mean, and I see it just sitting there, it's almost like, oh, like it's disrespectful. Like I just made a meal, put a lot of love into it, and the person's just gonna push it off.
Who told you to put a lot of love into the meal?
Wait,
Put a
don't
lot
say
of
anything.
love into
Wait a
it.
minute. When your wife's a very good baker, so I can just tell you, there's a lot of love in that food. It's delicious stuff. Dude. It's good.
I don't
You
do a
put
lot of
love.
cooking.
It's
personally,
an expression.
but
I
I'm
put
just
myself
saying, if
in
other
it.
people did. I know I've come into that situation.
No, if it
before.
was insult somebody, I'm not talking to insult. If you had your wife gave you a sandwich in the morning, you took it to work.
I made it with love,
You
honey.
took it to you're learning in Kollel. You took it the sandwich to Kollel.
I'm talking. She should
You
be
can eat it at 8. You can eat it at 8, or you can eat it at 9. I'm not talking about kids where it's gonna spoil and it'll be
An hour.
it'll be a waste of food and the like. They knew what they were doing, but the idea is that they pushed off. You can use it in different ways, but it doesn't have to be necessarily with food and hot soup that will get cold. In general, they pushed off any kind of, and this is really, like you said, it has to do also with tzedakah.
Right.
Once you train yourself, so if you want to think about something, you'll learn how to push it off. If it's something negative, you want to say something that is negative, you'll learn how to push it off. You want to do something that is negative, you'll learn how to push it off. All these things, it's really
I'm not going to let my instinct
and also
control me.
it tells you
I'm
who
going
is
to
in
control my
control.
instinct.
Right.
Who dominates the city, as the Baal Tanya writes in Tanya. There's two entities who wants to dominate the city. It's either the good inclination or the bad inclination. So by pushing it off, you're really telling the evil inclination that the
I'm
good
in charge.
inclination is in charge.
I'm in
He is
charge.
governing the body.
Every time the bad inclination wins, though, it's not a pretty sight. So it's never that great anyway. So you have to. That's true.
Similarly, if this one is
Restrain his mouth.
specifically for some people.
That's the more difficult part.
Similarly, if one restrains his mouth from saying things which he greatly desires to say. I don't know if anybody experienced this thing. But sometimes, like someone, I have to say it, greatly desires to say concerning, and it's not Torah, concerning mundane matters. He has a great. I'm just reading what it says. Even where there is nothing wrong with the words per se,
I won't tell
everything he
Shmuel.
says
said
is
that.
true.
Shmuel, it's-
Yet he refrains from speaking them precisely because he feels a desire to do so. So, whenever you feel a desire to do something, he pushes it off. He says, "Okay, I want to say it. I have an urge to say it, but I'll hold it off for a little bit."
I know you're not talking about me because I have so many things I want to talk
I
about.
was
and
thinking about you.
No, I never bring it up. I keep quiet about hundreds of topics.
By the
I
way,
keep quiet about hundreds
No,
of
I'm
topics.
talking about me.
I know. No, of course.
Talking about everything.
I know. You always want to say. You always talking. You talk the most.
Tanya is speaking about everyone.
Right.
So each one is challenged in a different way. But some are challenged with this.
besides, the Torah teaches us that our words are counted.
I can do it again.
Yeah, it says somewhere in the Torah that our words are counted. We are here to say a certain number of words.
Right.
So it's very important to restrain ourselves and to count our words and use them for Torah only,
Right.
at least.
Yeah, it's to strengthen what you just said. It says in the Ethics of the Fathers,
Right.
right? It says, "Lo matzati laguf tov mishtika." It says, "I never found something better for the body than
And the
silence.
silence.
Right, and the Gemara says for a word you say you get a selah. For 2 words, for silent you get two slime, and you get paid more for being silent than speaking. So what is the meaning? It says, I did not find anything better for the body than silent. It says for the body it's better to be silent, but for the soul, if you say the words of Torah, it's better if you say words of Torah. So specifically for the body, shtika is better.
Yeah.
Anyhow, v'chein birur machshavto, and likewise regarding the thoughts of his mind, he surpasses an
It
urge.
suppresses.
It says suppresses. No?
Okay.
It suppresses.
No, I think I heard
Sorry, it
something.
says suppresses.
Yeah.
An urge to think about some mundane matter, afilu b'me'at mizeir, even by the slightest subjugation of the sitra here below, pushing off a negative thought. What is the outcome? What is the effect? The glory of God and His holiness is greatly elevated on high. From this holiness, a sublime holiness issues forth upon men below to assist them with a great and powerful aid in his service of God. So you get a tremendous boost by every subjugation that you do, beside the effect on the higher worlds and the lower worlds, but it's going to be a direct effect on you, since you have created this nachas, this pleasure on high. It says from this kedusha, and now there is a siyua, there is assistance to you specifically.
It's a great training for mindfulness. The person wants to speak, he's going to say to himself, what am I going to add by bringing these up?
Right.
I mean, what am I adding up?
Exactly.
Nothing interesting. Might as well keep quiet about it.
This is what the sages meant when they said, if men consecrate themselves a little bit from below, down here, they sanctify him a
Greatly
ton from above. Greatly from above. Beside the fact that he fulfills the commandment of Torah that says, you should sanctify yourself even with the permissible things. Meaning you should not indulge yourself even when it comes to permissible things. Hence, apart from the conclusion of the consolation previously offered the Beinoni, that through turning away from evil, by combating evil thoughts and desires, he affords God's pleasure that tzaddikim cannot. His battle with the Sitra Achra also contains a positive quality in the category of doing good, that is likewise not present in the divine service of tzaddikim, because they don't have the fight, so there's nothing to put. What do you praise them for? The positive quality is the fulfillment of the mitzvah. Sanctify yourselves, which applies only to Beinonim, not to tzaddikim. For the intention of the commandment is that even one's personal, permissible, and mundane matters should not be attended to out of the desire of one's animal soul, but for the sake of God. So even when you're attending to your physical needs, it should be done. I'm doing it for the sake of